When a Sigma male cuts you off, it often feels sudden and cold. One day he's present, calm and engaged. The next he's gone without warning or explanation. Most people never understand why. They think it's arrogance or indifference, but the truth runs deeper. The Sigma male doesn't disappear for attention or drama. He walks away when something crosses a line that can't be repaired. The Sigma male lives differently from others. He doesn't rely on social validation, approval, or the comfort of a group. He values peace, independence, and honesty. Because of that, he's highly selective about who he keeps around. If someone begins to disturb that balance, whether through manipulation, pressure, or inconsistency, he withdraws quietly. What makes his disappearance confusing is that he rarely explains it. He doesn't argue, defend himself, or list reasons. To him, action says more than words. Once his decision is made, he simply detaches. And when a Sigma male detaches, he almost never returns. This video explores the real reasons behind that silence. Not speculation, not myth, the actual triggers that make a Sigma male cut someone off completely. Understanding these reasons doesn't just explain his behavior, it reveals how deeply he values loyalty, respect, and peace. Let's begin with the first reason, the one that defines nearly everything about the Sigma male, his need for independence. Reason number 1. Because you challenge the independence he cherishes, the Sigma male's entire life is built around freedom. He doesn't want to be controlled, influenced, or guided by anyone else's agenda. He values making his own choices, living on his own terms, and answering only to himself. When someone begins to threaten that independence, even unintentionally, he sees it as a danger signal, and that's when he starts pulling away. For most people, relationships come with negotiation. But for the Sigma male, negotiation can feel like interference if it limits his freedom. He'll give effort, attention, and loyalty, but not at the cost of his autonomy. He needs space to think, to create, and to move freely without someone watching over his shoulder. When someone tries to control his time, pressure him emotionally, or dictate how he should live, the Sigma's patience disappears quickly. It's not about pride, it's about principle. Freedom isn't something he asks for, it's something he demands by the way he lives. The moment he feels trapped, he starts creating distance. This doesn't mean he avoids commitment or closeness. It means he avoids control. He wants connections built on mutual respect, not dependency. If someone constantly questions his decisions, doubts his judgment, or tries to mold him into something he's not, he interprets that as a loss of respect. And respect is one thing he won't compromise. You'll never see a Sigma male argue to prove his independence. He won't fight to stay. He'll simply vanish. To him, explaining why he left means giving someone the power to debate his boundaries, and that's exactly what he avoids. His silence is his statement. He doesn't cut you off to punish you, he does it to protect himself. Because once his independence is threatened, staying connected would mean betraying the very foundation of who he is. Reason number 2. Because you demand emotional time, he doesn't have to spare. The Sigma male doesn't live on emotional noise. He's calm, measured, and internal. He feels things deeply but rarely expresses them openly. Emotional energy is something he spends carefully. He knows how draining constant drama, neediness, or conflict can be, so he avoids it completely. When someone begins demanding emotional attention that he can't sustain, he doesn't argue, he withdraws. It's not that he lacks empathy. In fact, the Sigma often understands emotions better than most. He simply knows his limits. He can handle intensity in small doses, but constant emotional pressure feels suffocating. He doesn't want to be responsible for someone else's mood or happiness. He wants connection, not dependence. When someone constantly seeks reassurance, complains without reflection, or brings chaos into his calm space, he feels the balance of his life shifting. And once he feels emotionally drained, he retreats. He might start with small silences, taking longer to reply, reducing contact, but eventually he'll disappear completely. Not because he stopped caring, but because caring became exhausting. The Sigma male's mind works best in quiet. He values people who can handle themselves, who bring peace rather than noise. When someone turns every interaction into emotional maintenance, he sees it as a threat to his focus. His solitude isn't loneliness, it's how he recharges. But when others keep pulling on that solitude, he cuts the cord entirely. This can be painful for those who don't understand his nature. They see his withdrawal as coldness or rejection. But for the Sigma, it's survival. He's protecting his mental space, not punishing anyone. In his world, balance is sacred. Once someone starts taking more than they give, especially emotionally, he'll step back to preserve that balance. And once he steps back fully, there's almost never a return. His peace isn't negotiable, and if keeping it means letting someone go, he'll do it without hesitation. Reason number 3. Because status games and approval-seeking drain his energy, the Sigma male doesn't need an audience to validate his life. He doesn't need compliments, recognition, or applause. He moves quietly and measures success by progress, not perception. But in a world where attention has become a form of currency, that mindset isolates him. The moment he's surrounded by people who constantly seek approval or compete for status, he feels drained. He sees how people perform for each other, bragging about small wins, exaggerating their stories, and using image to hide insecurity. That entire system feels fake to him. He can sense when someone's words are meant to impress rather than express, and it instantly disconnects him. He doesn't despise people who chase validation, but he knows they speak a different language, one he has no interest in learning. In social settings, this becomes clear. The Sigma male might stand in a group and stay quiet while others compete to talk over one another. He listens, observes, and quickly realizes the goal isn't connection, it's performance. When that happens, he mentally checks out. He might still be there physically, but emotionally he's already gone. Soon after, he stops returning messages and disappears entirely. At work, it's even more visible. People who thrive on visibility often rise faster than those who focus on results. The Sigma male accepts that reality, but refuses to play the game. He believes that skill, not politics, should speak for itself. But when he sees leadership rewarding noise instead of quality, he withdraws emotionally from the system. He might stay until his goals are complete, but he's already planning his exit. Relationships built on appearance or validation crumble quickly with him too. If his partner needs constant reassurance, social proof, or attention from others, he loses interest fast. He doesn't compete for space in anyone's world. The moment he feels like he's part of a performance, he steps out of it completely. The Sigma male has limited emotional bandwidth, and he guards it like treasure. He invests it only where honesty lives. Attention seekers, social climbers, and approval chasers exhaust him because they remind him of how shallow most communication has become. When the world becomes too loud, he doesn't argue, he just goes silent. It's not rejection. It's self-preservation. He walks away because peace matters more than applause, and truth will always matter more than recognition. Reason number 4. Because inconsistency or lack of integrity breaks his trust for the Sigma male, integrity isn't a virtue, it's a requirement. It's the invisible rule that holds every connection together. He can forgive mistakes, flaws, and even failure, but dishonesty is something he never overlooks. Once he senses a gap between someone's words and actions, something inside him shuts down. He pays close attention to behavior. He doesn't always react immediately, but he remembers everything. When people say one thing and do another, he doesn't confront them right away. He simply watches. The second time it happens, he makes a mental note. The third time, he's gone. No arguments, no explanations, no dramatic goodbye, just silence. What most people don't understand is that the Sigma doesn't cut others off for small reasons. He cuts them off because he's seen a pattern that tells him who they truly are. Once he realizes someone's loyalty is conditional or their honesty is selective, the bond is broken permanently. There's no rebuilding that trust because in his mind, trust isn't something you fix. It's something you either have or you don't. In his relationships, he demands transparency. Not perfection, just truth. He respects vulnerability even when it's messy. But he can't respect someone who hides behind manipulation or half-truths. The Sigma's entire lifestyle is built on self-honesty, and when others can't match that, he sees no point in keeping them close. In friendships, he's loyal to a fault until he isn't. If you're consistent, you'll have his loyalty for years. But once he senses that you're two-faced or unreliable, he disappears without warning. You won't get closure because to him, closure isn't necessary. The moment trust is gone, so is the relationship. This cold detachment might seem harsh, but it's how he maintains self-respect. The Sigma male doesn't believe in fighting to keep broken connections alive. To him, honesty is the foundation of every bond, and a cracked foundation can't support anything meaningful. That's why when a Sigma male cuts you off after inconsistency, it's not anger, it's principle. You crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. Reason number 5, because your priorities don't match his path. The Sigma male lives by alignment. Every decision, goal, and relationship must fit his internal compass. He doesn't chase trends or follow social pressure, he follows purpose. But when the people around him start moving in directions that conflict with his values, he feels an immediate disconnection. He doesn't fight it, he accepts it. And then he leaves. He understands that not everyone is meant to stay in his life. Some people are temporary teachers, some are lessons, and some are distractions. Once he recognizes that someone's priorities conflict with his own, he starts creating space. Not because he dislikes them, but because he refuses to dilute his direction for the sake of company. In relationships, this plays out clearly. He's drawn to people who value growth, peace, and independence. If his partner becomes more focused on comfort, control, or superficial goals, the emotional distance begins. The Sigma won't argue about it. He'll simply adjust his energy and focus it elsewhere. The quieter he gets, the closer the end is. His friends often misinterpret this as arrogance or disinterest. They don't realize that for the Sigma, energy is sacred. He can't waste it on people who move backward while he's trying to move forward. It's not about thinking he's better, it's about realizing that mismatched priorities destroy balance. Professionally, this mindset makes him hard to manage. He won't stay in an environment that demands compromise of values. If a job requires unethical shortcuts or meaningless competition, he'll leave even if the pay is good. To him, peace of mind is worth more than comfort. When a Sigma male cuts someone off because of mismatched priorities, it's not emotional, it's logical. He knows that forcing alignment where there isn't any leads to frustration. He'd rather lose people than lose direction. And he never burns bridges out of anger. He just walks away quietly and doesn't look back. That silence isn't distance, it's discipline. The Sigma male knows exactly where he's going, and anyone who slows that journey, even unintentionally, can't come with him. Reason number 6. Because silence matters more than explanations in his world. When the Sigma male decides to cut someone off, he rarely announces it. There's no long conversation, no emotional outburst, and no warning. He simply goes silent. For most people, this silence is confusing. It feels cold or even cruel. But to the Sigma, it's the cleanest way to end something that no longer aligns with his peace. He doesn't believe in arguing about what's already been decided. In his view, the moment you have to explain basic respect, the relationship is already broken. He values directness, not drama. When he walks away quietly, it's because he's already processed everything he needs to. Talking about it would only reopen something he's already accepted. Silence to him isn't punishment, it's clarity. It's the final word. It says, "This chapter is closed, and I've moved on." He doesn't see the point in proving his reasons to anyone because he lives by a simple rule. People who understand your silence don't need your explanation, and those who demand one wouldn't understand it anyway. This quiet exit can leave others guessing, replaying conversations, trying to figure out what went wrong. But the truth is simple. The Sigma male rarely leaves without reason. Something happened that crossed one of his internal boundaries. Maybe it was manipulation, disrespect, dishonesty, or control. Once that happens, he doesn't try to fix it. He lets it go. His silence also reflects how he views closure. He believes closure is personal, not shared. You find it within yourself, not through someone else's validation. That's why he doesn't seek it from others and doesn't offer it either. The decision to walk away doesn't come from impulse, it comes from resolution. He doesn't owe an explanation because his peace is his priority. The fewer words he uses, the less energy he wastes. For the Sigma male, silence isn't weakness, it's control. It's how he stays grounded in a world that constantly wants reaction. When he cuts you off without a word, it's not because he's heartless. It's because, in his world, peace speaks louder than confrontation ever could. When the Sigma male cuts someone off, it's not an act of cruelty, it's an act of clarity. His detachment isn't built on ego, but on principle. He doesn't hold grudges, he doesn't plot revenge, and he doesn't crave closure. He simply refuses to stay where his values aren't respected or his peace is disrupted. Every reason behind his silence ties back to one truth. The Sigma male guards his life carefully. He doesn't have time for manipulation, chaos, or inconsistency. His independence is sacred, his boundaries are clear, and his trust is rare. When those are crossed, he doesn't fight, he frees himself. This isn't the path of an emotionless man. It's the path of someone who has learned that peace is more important than connection built on tension. It's not easy to live that way. It means walking away from people you care about, cutting ties that once felt important, and choosing solitude over comfort. But for the Sigma, that's strength, the ability to choose what's right for his mind over what's easy for his heart. He doesn't disappear out of pride. He disappears because he's learned that arguing with chaos never brings peace. Silence is his way of moving forward, not backward. It's not about teaching lessons, it's about protecting balance. In a world where everyone wants to talk, justify, and explain, the Sigma male shows his strength by walking quietly. His goodbye is never loud, but it's always final. If a Sigma male has ever cut you off, understand this. It wasn't spontaneous. It was a choice made after deep observation, reflection, and patience. He noticed things you didn't think he saw. He waited, gave chances, and weighed his options. When he finally left, it meant something had broken beyond repair. He doesn't hate you, and he doesn't celebrate leaving. He simply moves forward, knowing that peace can't coexist with confusion. That's how he lives, by clarity, not chaos. And if you are a Sigma male yourself, this video is a reminder of why your silence carries power. You don't owe the world your energy, but you do owe yourself peace. Protect it, even if that means walking away from people who don't understand it. Because the truth is, cutting people off isn't about being cold, it's about being conscious. It's about knowing that some connections end, not from anger, but from growth. The Sigma male doesn't end things to win, he ends them to stay whole. So when he goes quiet, don't mistake it for emptiness. That silence is full of strength, lessons, and self-respect. It's the sound of a man choosing peace in a world that doesn't understand it, and that's exactly what makes him different.